Hello and welcome to episode 51 of Photo Kitchen. I am your humble host, MD Welch, and on today's episode, I have to issue a very formal apology because I like to admit when I was wrong, or at least when my opinion has changed. And my opinion has radically changed about something that I've talked about very recently on this channel. You might have watched a video where I've compared the 35mm to the 50mm. And in that video, I said I like the 35 better. And I still think I like the 35mm more than the 50mm, but I don't know, maybe my opinion has changed because recently I have either been forced to use my 50mm more or I have wanted to use my 50mm more. And I have to say, the results are starting to make me think I might have been wrong, mistaken, or completely out of my mind. Because the 50mm, and by the way, I shoot Sony, this is my Sony 50mm, but any 50mm, right, in that focal range is going to give you the same results that I'm going to talk about in this video. And I have to say I was wrong about this focal length. Now, this started in the last, it started about 6 months ago. I rented a studio, and during that time, I created a lighting setup, which I've talked about on another video with the 10x10 diffusion panel, which is one of my favorite light sources now of all time. But because of the layout of the studio and where I put that panel, which was directly behind me, using it as a main or a big general fill, there's a lot of options with it. Please watch that video. I go into detail on that. But because of that, my normal go-to setup of the 135 was very limiting. I could only do headshots with it because I couldn't get deep enough or far enough away from my subjects. Even though the studio is basically like a shoebox, I can walk all the way back and do head to toe with the 135, which I really like in the studio. I couldn't do that this time. I had created or boxed myself in. So the 50mm was brought out a lot more. The 35 was just too wide. I didn't want to have to fix falling off the seamless paper so much. And because of that, the 50mm stayed on the camera body a lot more. And almost all of the head to toe portraiture, full length portraiture, all of that happened at 50mm. Then I started to go out and shoot on location with it. And on one of my most recent shoots, I was thinking about using the 35-135 combo, which I talk about again in the 35 to 50 video that I've done. And I just found that the 35mm gave me too much of the environment. I was on a dry lake bed. It was kind of a stark location, big, wide open, and I had this beautiful sunset in the background, and I really wanted to bring that sky closer into my subject. The 135 is great for this, but it starts to bring things in a little too much, and you do lose the scenery. That's the good thing about the 135. It kind of eliminates the background, no matter if you're in studio or on location. You can eliminate that, bring your subject front and center. The 35 has always dropped the subject in the location and made it about the location. But the 50mm in this case gave me the best of both worlds. Gave me a little bit of more of that isolation, but still gave me that wide scenic open space, especially for head to toe work. I also didn't have to be a mile away when I was using the 135, and I also didn't have to get so close with the 35 that I was worried about distortion. So I have been wrong about the 50mm. And if you're wondering why I even own a 50mm if I hold it in such low standing, I have only 4 lenses for my portrait photography work. I'm an all prime lens shooter when I do photography. I shoot 20mm if I need a super wide shot, if I'm doing an interior of a building. The 35's always been my environmental portraiture lens or somebody in a scene. My 135 has always been my headshot or my portraiture lens or my studio lens. And the 50mm was just there because it needed to fill in the gap between 35 and 135. It was just too big, and 85 is too close to the look of 135. So I always had a 50mm as kind of a patch, as a just in case kind of thing. I'm not going to use it that much. In fact, when I bought this particular 50mm, which it is a G Master from Sony, so this is not a cheap date, I kind of regretted it. I'm like, how much am I going to really use this lens? It turns out, at least in the last 6 months, a lot. So I look forward to the next 6 months. I'm curious where this is going to take me. It also makes me regret selling one of my favorite lenses of all time, which was the Sony 55mm 1.8. I'm going to start doing a little bit more traveling in the latter part of the year, and I think I might actually go back and buy that lens used because of how much I like the 55. Initially, it was one of my first lenses, how much I've fallen in love with the 50 recently, and how much I kind of need just a general all-around lens. I think the 35 might be a little too wide or not wide enough for travel, and I might go ahead and get the 55mm because that lens is small, perfect for travel photography, and I think I've been won back. So again, I like to admit it when I'm wrong. I'm certainly wrong about this lens. So hopefully you've liked this video. If so, please hit the like button down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And if you have, we thank you for your support. And of course, share this with anybody who's on the fence about buying a 50mm. I certainly have told a lot of people not to buy the 50 because I thought it was just kind of a lens. I think I was very much wrong about that. So please share this with other people who are maybe thinking about purchasing this lens or thinking about selling the lens. Don't do it. It's great. And until next time, I'm MD Welch wishing you all the best from Photo Kitchen.